All right, class, welcome back. We're going to continue on with our study of the old pentatonic scale. Of course, now we're modifying them a bit to fit some different sounds. This one we're going to use the minor flat 5 pentatonic as a mixolydian or a dominant 7th type sound. Now we've talked about changing the major pentatonic to make it a mixolydian pentatonic, but there is a way that you can use the minor flat 5 pentatonic also as kind of a mixolydian sound, and even though it's really close, it does have a little bit of uniqueness to it as compared to the mixolydian pentatonic, and maybe perhaps as you get these down you can even combine them together. But one thing I want to note is when you play a D9 chord, if you lose the root on this chord, in other words, if you don't look at the chord from the D, you just look at the top part of the chord, you'll notice that it's actually an F sharp minor 7 flat 5. And a lot of times if you're playing blues, a lot of blues players will use that as a substitution. The bass player will be kind of implying the root, and the rhythm player will be playing a minor 7 flat 5 chord underneath it. And what you're creating there is basically a D9 chord. So that's a very common substitution. So that means that we can use an F sharp minor flat 5 pentatonic over the top of that. And it's very similar to the mixolydian pentatonic, but it's also adding a different note. So this note right here is the major 6. So it's kind of giving you that major 6 sound. And for me, that just sounds really hip. The mixolydian pentatonic that we talked about earlier doesn't have that 6th in it. So it does have a little bit different coloration. So, you know, you can contrast the two, you can use them together. I think they sound really nice. So let's take a look at our F sharp minor flat 5 pentatonic. So I'm going to play it right here. Here's our minor 7 flat 5 chord. This is F sharp minor 7 flat 5. And of course, we're kind of using this as a D9 chord. All right, so, you know, we have our natural minor pentatonic here. So all we're going to do is we're just going to lower the 5th down a half step. So we got the root here, then we have a minor 3rd, then a perfect 4th. Now, normally we would go here for the 5th, but we're going to lower that, and that becomes the flatted 7th against the D note, giving us that dominant 7th sound. And then this note here, which is the major 2nd or the 9, and that's going to give us that dominant 9 sound. Okay, continuing on, we have the minor 3rd here. This is the top part of the octave. We have the root, then the minor 3rd, then the 4th. Now there's a little bit of a stretch here. Now in your F sharp minor, you would normally play this. This is the 5th, but we're going to flat it, so we're going to move it down here. So there's like this 2 whole step stretch here. You know, it's a little bit of a stretch, but with a little bit of training, it's not too difficult at all. So it sounds something like this. All right, that's our minor flat 5. And you can always remember any notes that are on the high E string will also be mirrored on the low E string. All right, so that's just kind of a little trick. All right, so I'm just going to improvise a little bit over the D9 mixolydian backing track and see how it sounds. Let's give it a go. To me, that sounds really hip, and it just gives you another angle to kind of, you know, get that mixolydian type sound It's a little bit different than our Mixolydian pentatonic, so of course you could potentially combine those together and get some different colorations out of them. But again, you're retaining that 2 notes on a string type feel, just like our pentatonic scales. So any little pentatonic sequences that you've already kind of worked out in just your regular pentatonic boxes, you can apply those to these kind of altered pentatonics and, you know, really double down on those little sequences that you have and also get some really interesting colorations. All right, we're going to jump over to our practice scene and see if we can implement a little minor flat 5 pentatonic over a dominant 9 chord. I'll see you there.